When Larry Bird retired, the Boston Celtics were arguably the best franchise in NBA history. That was in 1992, 32 years ago. Since then, the Celtics have only managed to lift Larry-O once. The ring that Boston achieved in 2008 with an unrepeatable roster formed by Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and Rajon Rondo has been an oasis in an unsatisfactory era for the fans that the franchise has all around the world. However, it seems that things have changed. During these playoffs, the Celtics appear to have the best chance they've had to win a ring since they last did so 16 years ago. In the end, the finals loss to the Golden State Warriors was in part due to their inexperience. That coincided with the enormous amount of experience of the then three-time champions. But this year, they'll not only face a team that's never been to the finals before, but they're the ones with the experience. So what's happened in Boston that's made them the team to beat? And what's really different from other years? It's hard to find precedents of a team that's been so dominant in the Eastern Conference. I mean, not even LeBron's Cavs had the ability to do so. Granted, injuries to some of the best players in the conference have been a major factor that's made it easier for the Celtics. But even without defensive anchor Kristaps Porzingis, they've been able to roll over pretty much anyone. There's no doubt that Boston has some of the best management in the entire NBA. First Danny Ainge and then Brad Stevens, who's been GM since 2021, have shown a tremendous ability to find bargains on the market, something that Brad already demonstrated when he found Malcolm Brogdon at a ridiculous price compared to the performance he showed in the city. But this season they went even further. The trades they made to acquire the services of Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis have allowed them to become one of the best defenses in the NBA. Two players who, in addition, are capable of deploying their own offensive game in their two-way style. However, since Stevens left the coaching position, it seems that the Celtics have had trouble finding a reliable coach. Ime Udoka managed to qualify the team for the finals in his first and only season in Boston, but off-court issues sidelined him and left him without a coaching job for a year. He was replaced by Joe Mazzulla, who was given a roster that could literally aspire to anything. However, the Celtics' elimination against the Miami Heat in the last playoffs,
the Heat are going to the NBA Finals,
in which ESPN predicted a 97% chance of a green victory, created many doubts about Mazzulla's effectiveness. Stevens decided to continue to rely on him to lead the team, and he finally seems to be doing a great job this season, even in the playoffs. Boston's failures in recent seasons have turned into learning, not only for the coach but also for the players, especially in the case of Jason Tatum, who as the leader of the team has the responsibility to perform well in the important moments. It's true that he's not playing the most efficient playoffs of his career, but the reality is that the Celtics have been so superior throughout the series that they haven't even needed the best version of Jason. Now the finals against the Mavericks could be different. Boston's going to need its best version if they're going to beat a team that's come out on top in the tough West. The player who's really stepped up his performance during the playoffs has been Jaylen Brown. Work that's been recognized with the Eastern Conference Finals MVP award he received just a week ago when the Celtics closed their series against the Indiana Pacers.
And it's my privilege, Jaylen Brown.
Averaging 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists on 54% shooting from the field during the playoffs. Jaylen's been the deciding factor for the Boston Celtics, but everyone knows that the Celtics aren't a team that needs to base their game on just their superstars. The starting five that Stevens managed to put together last offseason is so powerful and versatile that they have plenty of options. Even some pieces of the weakened bench are performing above expectations. In addition, in a way, they've been fortunate that the only starter who's been injured has the best replacement of the entire roster in Al Horford. But players like Peyton Pritchard have also stepped up during these playoffs, providing an efficiency off the bench that Boston's surely going to need in the finals. There's no doubt that the Mavericks' backcourt is the most talented in the NBA. The pairing of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving's managed to outscore every defensive system in the West, including the Timberwolves, who are the owners of the best defense in the entire regular season. But if there's a backcourt with the potential to stop him, it's the Boston Celtics one. We've talked in other videos about how the pairing of Jrue Holiday and Derek White's a real defensive menace. Both guards are considered elite defensively at their position, and are players who are capable of playing much bigger than their size on defense. In a possible matchup with Luka, it's true that they'll be giving up some inches, but Mazzulla has plenty of tools to adjust during the series. Tatum and Brown have shown their ability to defend quality players, although logically this could cause them to be less rested on the offensive end. The Celtics defense has been incredibly effective during the playoffs. It's been the third best among all teams that have played the postseason, only behind the Orlando Magic and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Their defensive rating of 108.7 points conceded per 100 possessions has allowed them to build a solid backcourt that even an offensive-based team like the Indiana Pacers was never really able to penetrate. To top it off, the Celtics are currently the second highest scoring team in efficiency in the playoffs, with 119.6 points scored per 100 possessions. A figure that's only surpassed by the Pacers' offense. Like, that really matters at this point, though. But the most incredible thing is that the net rating of plus 10.8 points per 100 possessions is the best of the playoffs, with a huge difference over the second, the Oklahoma City Thunder. These numbers are in stark contrast to what the Celtics achieved in the last playoffs when they lost to the Heat, in which Boston had the 7th worst defense of the entire postseason, while being only the 4th best offense. And we're going to circle back to the same thing. A lot of people are going to criticize these numbers, arguing that the Celtics have had too easy a road.
Have the Celtics' path been too easy? They faced the Miami Heat team without Jimmy Butler.
It's true they've been pretty lucky with their opponents in winning the Eastern Conference, but if there's one thing we've come to realize, it's that despite expectations, the playoffs are completely unpredictable. The Nuggets looked unstoppable last season, getting 16 wins and 4 losses, and fell in the second round this year. The Mavericks won the Western Conference when absolutely nobody gave them a real chance to do so. I mean, they were good, but were they this good? The Pacers, on a roster that lacks star power beyond a Halliburton, who in some phases of the playoffs has been a facilitator instead of a scorer, managed to reach the conference finals. Where I'm going with this is that in the playoffs, you don't win by name. You need those names to translate into results, and the Celtics have done just that. People forget, this team won 64 games in the Eastern Conference this regular season. They were the 4th team to have at least 64 wins in the East since 2000. Only Bron and Wade's Heat, LeBron's Cavs in his first stint, and the Pistons the season after winning the ring have been able to do it, along with also the 2008 legendary champion Celtics, who had 66 wins. It's not that they've dominated the playoffs for lack of competition. They've actually been dominating the NBA since October. And at no point in the season have they been in jeopardy of the 1 seed that gave them home court advantage throughout the playoffs. Not that they had to make many adjustments. The Celtics already showed their strength last season, but they learned a lesson. You don't just have to have the strongest roster in the NBA. You also have to show that the system is right for the players to shine. The foundation's been in place for years, but Mazzulla's finally found the key that makes the team work. With the bookmakers having the Celtics as favorites, all the fans want is to finally take the pressure off and win the championship they've been craving since 2008. And once that happens, because it looks like it's going to happen, the team will have a winning gene that could allow them to form a dynasty that'll dominate the decade.